welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Carl, this is Jeskai Control. Jeskai has been hanging out on the fringes. We have Up the Beanstalk, we have Rakshas's Bargain. There's a lot going on, a lot of reasons to be green in a control shell. Uro, of course. And when we do see white in control, we sometimes see white splashed into Dimir to have a kind of mid-range, we call it control, relative to the current Legacy format, but it's not really that controlling. Just kind of Swords to Plowshares in Dimir tempo. It's a thing we see. There's some Staff of the Storyteller decks out there that use Urza's Saga. But classic, high basic land count, white removal, blue card draw, Jeskai Control. It's out there, but it's not that popular. And I wanted to try it myself. The thing that this deck gets when it doesn't get Up the Beanstalk is stock up. You just get 4 copies of this thing. Not messing around, not being cute. There's not 2, there's 4. This is a core interaction of the deck. We've got 6 forces in here. We're gonna lose cards trying to interact with opponents. We got a bunch of 1-for-2 interaction and then a bunch of 1-for-1 interaction. And then how do we actually catch up to those 1-for-2s and break parity on those 1-for-1s? It's stock up. Reloading in the mid game. We have Tamiyo that could buy back stock ups when it goes into Planeswalker mode. Cori-Steel Cutter, a nice way to just turn those turns where you're casting a cantrip and a removal spell into a threat. Some inevitability there, and it's a type of thing that your opponent will need specific removal to interact with. And I'm very excited about this. This list just came out of the MTG 5.0 deck dumps. Flage Titan of Nature, or Fire's Fury. I don't think I have played Flage in Legacy at all since it came out. I've played a bunch of modern decks with it, and frequently when I play Legacy decks with red and white mana in them, like Jeskai Control, Jeskai Tempo, somebody in the comments is like, what about Flage? Well, let's find out. What about Flage? Uro's good. Flage is a little worse, but Flage is better than Kroxa, and I have played Kroxa and Uro a lot in Legacy, so let's give Flage a run. This deck's only ways to actually win the game, like deal the 20 damage you need to defeat your opponent, are Cori-Steel Cutter and Flage. And I'm kind of into that. If you're not a believer, you could turn one of these Flages into a 4th Aerlingus, but I am here trying out Flage Titan of Fire's Fury. It's better than 4th Aerlingus when your opponent is currently hitting you with a Delver of Secrets. It's worse on a wide open board where you're in top deck mode. And I do tend to like to build my decks to raise the floor rather than raise the ceiling, meaning if things aren't going to plan, how do I make it not as bad as it could be? Rather than if everything's going my way, how do I win even harder? And Flage does raise the floor versus 4th Aerlingus' high ceiling. That's the spiel. Let's do it. This is Jeskai Control with Flage and Cori-Steel Cutter. Announcing the Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy Winamax weekend in Columbus, Ohio. Saturday, August 2nd, the BCDL Legacy Open 4, a Mox Jet for first and dual lands for top 8 guaranteed, with more duels and staples added down to 24th place if the event gets 100 players. Sunday, August 3rd, Stronghold Mox Diamond for first, dual lands for top 4, and Force of Wills for top 8 guaranteed, with prizes scaling up at 48 and 55 players. Both events are unlimited proxy playtest card friendly, anyone can play. Please review the playtest card policy on the event pages. Signups and additional details are linked in the video description or included in a full post in my YouTube community tab. I'll be there. I hope to see you too. I'm on the draw in round 1. I am going to keep my hand, as usual, if their combo were cooked, but if they want to play Magic, my hand gives me some options, and of course there's an Agadim the Undercrypt being fired off immediately in the league. It would not be a Legacy League in 2025 if we didn't have some miserable non-games versus oops all spells, a deck that is really just cool and great to exist. Alright, you win. Just going to take a quick look at the deck. So they have the Disciples, they have the green side with the Once Upon a Times to dig a little harder. There's one Narcomoeba, which probably means there's one in their hand, but that's all they need. That's enough to get the Poxwalkers crawling. The full 4 copies of Poxwalkers, and I will concede before they get to see my hand. Fun. Okay, Null Rod, Deafening Silence, Containment Priest, Consign to Memory. I guess I have to bring in Flusterstorm, even though it's not that good. Surgical Extraction, Grafdigger's Cage. Jeskai Control has always been pretty soft to combo in the main deck. Like, you're built to crush creature decks, and then you have to go to your sideboard for combo, and that has borne out here. Okay, this deck could pivot onto the creature beatdown plan, which makes most of these cards I'm bringing in pretty bad. I still have Teferi. I still have 1 Flage. I still have my Force of Wills. I don't need all 21 lands here. Like, basics are not that good, though there are 4 Prismatic Vista in this mana base. I guess it's Karakas that's the cut. They don't usually play Shieldred. Okay, that's 11 cards coming in and 9 that I'm comfortable cutting. Let's figure this one out. I think I'm going to shave 2 of the Consign to Memories. I have a bunch of Dress Downs in my deck that do a similar thing. And usually if your opponent has Thassa's Oracle's triggered ability on this deck, they've already torn your hand to shreds. Null Rod's actually mediocre. I like Consign more than I like Null Rod. With their Rituals and Spirit Guides, Null Rod turns off some stuff, but I think I would rather have the extra blue count and the extra actual spell. Okay, I will keep this hand. This hand is still in trouble to something like land Triple Spirit Guide Balustrade Spy. Like, I actually don't have any interaction points for that. But I have to be willing to Flusterstorm a Dark Ritual with this hand, or maybe force a negation of Chrome Mox, that sort of thing. I have 2 removal spells if they're on the creature plan. Well, 1 maybe a removal spell, 1 yes removal spell. I'm going to lead on the Volcanic Island because it's likely I need to Flusterstorm this turn, and I would like to get Meticulous Archive with this fetch land if I can get away with it. There's Agadeem, Lotus Petal. I'd have to Flusterstorm Dark Ritual. Might not get another spot to fight over this. Okay, Dark Ritual's in the graveyard. 4 cards in their hand, Consign to Memory, a solid draw. Now I have a Shield Up versus Balustrade Spy, but I'm still dead to Undercity Informer. Lotus Petal, oh, this is so hard. Okay, I'm gonna roll the dice here and let Lotus Petal resolve, like maybe force a negationing, that is what I'm supposed to do. I just have to hope this is Spy and not Informer. Okay, 4 mana in the pool. Oh, Goblin Charbelcher, I can beat that one too. Okay, from here, I think I would rather kick a Consign to Memory onto that than spend 2 cards on it. I can answer it twice for 1 card or answer it once for 2 cards. I'll take this one. Stock up. Okay, that's really good. I'm going to cycle Lorien Revealed for Meticulous Archive and hope that I have time to stock up before I lose. I don't think I want this basic island. That doesn't cast Flage. Thoughtseize, huh? Well, I lose stock up either way, so go ahead. Yep, took the stock up, no surprise there. Containment Priest, nice. All right. Now I get to pretend I'm leaving up Force of Negation, but I also have Containment Priest, which is both pressure on their face and counteracts one of their game plans. It's Epton Garden of Freyalise. Raw dogging Poxwalkers. They know I have Swords to Plowshares. Okay, Containment Priest is in. Flage. I drew a blue card, which means I can Flage this Poxwalkers instead of waste my plow on it. Wanted to do that anyway. Okay, they passed with 3 cards, or 2 cards in hand. I drew a land that does not deploy Flage. Undercity Informer. Yeah, that resolves. I can Swords to Plowshares that one. Cool. Red mana. We did it. Basic Mountain. Red, red, white, white. Okay, they have to beat a Containment Priest and a Force of Negation now. They are dead on board, and they can't zap in a 3-life land. They know I have Force, they don't know I have a blue card. Cabal Therapy, sure. I don't think there's 2 cards that can kill me here, through all the things that I have. Yeah, they just learned that Dress Down was in my deck from that play. Okay. Time for game 3. If they have a Belcher Pivot, I'm pretty interested in Consign to Memory. There's just not a lot of cards I still want to cut. I'm not excited about the idea of going to 19 lands. And if Belcher's their pivot, I might not need Swords to Plowshares. But if I stuff all their other stuff, the Poxwalker Beatdown becomes a plan Teferi is blue and turns off Upkeep, Memory's Journey, and any time Pact of Negation. Like, I'm just weighing Teferi versus having the other Flage in right now. Or if I need Teferi in at all, I think every blue card counts. Can I go to 19 lands? 19 lands with 2 Lorien Revealeds. And I'm actually just realizing this deck doesn't have Ponder in it. Fascinating. Okay. So 19 lands without Ponder in the deck is a little worse. But it does make sense to not include Ponder if you have this many non-blue lands in the deck. All right, I'm going to try to go 19 lands and maximize on my spells. Force blue card all in. I'm not super comfortable with it, but I'm not going to mull it either. Usually 2 layers of interaction is where I want to be. Opponent kept 7 as well. Once Upon a Time. I don't think it's ever right to counter Once Upon a Time against Oops All spells. Or I don't want to say ever, but a turn 1 off a 7-card keep just seems like a mess. Petal. Thoughtseize. I mean, yep. At least leave myself the chance to draw a blue card. Unless I lose now, Dark Ritual plus that Spirit Guide will do it. Blue card? Alright, sweet. Meticulous Archive. Surgical Extraction. That might be too slow, but I am going to keep it on top, I guess. If they don't kill me this turn, it's a good one. Okay, here's 4 mana without using a spell. Yep, probably just dead. Yep, Narcomoeba triggers, and I won't have the force by the time anything else matters. So this wasn't quite double force, double blue card, but it was 2 forces, both on turns where it mattered. But yeah, cool. All right, fun was had. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play in round 2. I'm going to keep my hand. And the choice here is, do I deploy Tamiyo on 1 and rely on Force of Will to survive the turn, or do I want to leave up Spell Pierce and Cycle Lorien Revealed? I think I'd like to deploy Tamiyo. Prismatic Vista has to get Basic Island here, and we're off. A Tundra. Your own Tamiyo. Okay. We can touch butts. Okay, I'm going to get Tundra, and I'm going to plow their Tamiyo and attack with my own. It is nice to get a good exchange off Swords to Plowshares against a control deck, which Tamiyo may have completely changed the old heuristics on that. Most control decks do play Tamiyo at this point, so you're going to find a spot to point your Fatal Pushes and your Plows. There's always a spot to point Lightning Bolt. That's a cool thing about Lightning Bolt. They did not shuffle their Ponder, and then did not cast any other cards. Tamiyo get in. Now it's hold up Spell Pierce versus try to draw a land. I'm going to try to hit the land. Right, Cori-Steel Cutter was the hit. We got some Bant going on over there. Is this like Bant Nadu Plagon, perhaps? Brainstorm. So they dumped a Brainstorm with Hedge Maze, then cast another one. Okay, so we are a Breakfast deck, or at least a Nadu deck. Second Force feels good. This time I will not use the clue right now, because knowing for sure they're a combo deck changes how much I want to hold up Spell Pierce. Like if they have to Zenith for their Nadu, or if they force back when I force Nadu. I hope Cavern of Souls is not involved here, because I am ice cold to that card. Kept a card on top with Meticulous Archive. Urza's Saga. I got 3 dress downs in my deck for that one. Cephalid Illusionu. They have played around Spell Pierce smartly. I guess I will force this pitching Supreme Verdict. Okay, that's gone. Swords to Plowshares. I think I am okay with this. And Spell Pierce is pretty good here, though. I actually am going to Spell Pierce this. I still have the force if I need it. Okay, sure. I'm not going to force back. You did it. You cleared my Tamiyo. Land would be nice. Prismatic Ending. All right. I'm going to delete Shuko from existence. At least make it harder for them to top deck a win. And we are feeling how it feels to be a deck without Ponder, where I have all these high-end spells. If I get to 3 mana, life gets pretty good. But we're not there right now. All right, there's Tamiyo. I think I have to draw a card. Oh my goodness, we did it. I'm going to get another island and play this Tamiyo. I know I have a red card in my hand, but I don't care that much about it. That is not what's changing the game right now. Daze, all right, sure. Daze has countered my Tamiyo, and they get a 1/1 construct. That can be a 2/2, then a 3/3. There's the 2/2. Here comes the 3/3. There is a second Chuko in the deck. Not every deck plays 2. All right, well, that wasn't going to be my fight anyway. And we're looking for a dress down now before my life total runs out. I do play a lot of them. Teferi's pretty good here. White removal's good. Or just rip dress down immediately. I could do this now to potentially hit my land drop as well. Or I could do it in my end step, which stops them from comboing. I'm going to do it now. All right, land. Ooh, Brainstorm. I will take the invitation to cast Brainstorm here. Found a land. I guess I put back Stock Up and Brainstorm here, or Stock Up and Tundra, or Stock Up and Volk, and then I surprise them with the Steel Cutter next turn. All right. Play the Tundra and pass. I've missed playing with Dress Down. It's cool to have a deck with so many copies of it in it. Cephalid Illusionist. They've got 1 card left in their hand. I hope it's not Spell Pierce or another Illusionist. Nomad Beatdown. Double Nomad Beatdown. Okay, I can play Cori-Steel Cutter into Stock Up next turn. That triggers and gives me a Monk. And I have to hope they don't ever draw the card Nadu or Cephalid Illusionist. All right, second spell. And it's a doozy. I could take Force Stock Up. Yeah, I think Force Stock Up is the way to go. I don't want to pitch that Stock Up, but I also don't want to lose to a top deck Nadu. I'm not winning the damage race right now, so let's park it. Interesting. Yeah, I'll block. They can redirect the damage to the other Nomad, but either way, a Nomad's going to lose here. Narcomoeba. That's not my fight. It is a flying creature, though. Potentially concerning. Dress Down, pretty good. There's not a lot of red cards in the main deck. They Stock Up and Brainstorm. Yeah, this is what a deck with 4 Stock Ups feels like. Brainstorm. I just want to get my Steel Cut activation. Put back Meticulous Archive and Flooded Strand. Hit my land drop and pass. I can fetch Meticulous Archive, or I can get a land that plays Dress Down. Just got to navigate this Narcomoeba before it deals 10 to me. All right, Nadu off the top. We're prepared for this possibility. Force pitching Dress Down. And this is why I didn't attack with the Monk, because Nomad. If I have to force plus fetch, Nomad actually changes the clock. All right, I have a clue just sitting here. I'm going to crack that rather than get Meticulous Archive. That makes more sense. And I'm going to get Plateau in case I find Flage, which is one of my paths out of the game. Arid Mesa. Back to basics. Wowie zowie. That's pretty good here. I take a lot of damage. I think I want to stock up first and see what I come up with. And then I'll decide if I'm going to go back to basics or not. It's weird that I'm just like likely to lose to this Narcomoeba if I don't. Okay, cool. 2 plows. Yeah, I'm going to take the 2 plows. And I'm going to play Arid Mesa. I am not going to play back to basics this turn. Maybe I should. That locks me out of red mana for all of my life, basically. If they top deck Nadu, I'm in trouble anyway. All right. But their lands won't be tapped next turn. Okay, I've missed a damage. I am not going to play back to basics here. I think it turns off too much stuff for me. And I just have to hope they don't rip. Oh my fucking god. All right, well, there's that. I guess I have to plow the Nadu. Like, they get a million flips anyway. Okay, plow Nadu. Here we go. This is why combo decks are good, because they can just hit cards that matter a lot. Okay, they flipped a Flooded Strand. They hit a Swords to Plowshares. Those don't save Nadu. There's one more flip before Nadu dies. Another plow. Okay. If they have a Dried Arbor in the deck, they can get 2 more flips here. Okay, sweet. Force of Will flipped on the last one, so their hand is Plow, Plow, Force right now. If they cast these plows, they're removing things that I did not actually spend cards to acquire. And I gained a bunch of life off it. So they have Force of Will plus Plow over there, and they did tap their lands again. Okay, they're fetching again. Please, yeah, yes. I thought they were going to Plow. Or they might still. I'm going to fetch basic planes in the end step. And any spell is a good draw here. That's a really good draw. Okay. Teferi Time Raveler. This will force the issue on the Swords to Plowshares. Like, if they're going to cast it, they have to do it now, and they're completely cooked. Nice. All right. Back to basics. Or do I want to bounce Nomad? I'll bounce Nomad first. That sounds good. And if they ever want that thing back, cool. Now I can keep one of my extra lands. Bang. Nice. Okay. A stressful turn, but we got away with it. Pyroblast hits most of the things I care about in their deck. Consigned to Memory is okay versus Saga. It's good versus Thassa's Oracle. Containment Priest can stop the Illusionist lines, even though it's not very effective versus Nadu. That Back to Basics was kind of a hammer when it dropped. I think Force of Negation comes out. Most of their things are creatures. I like all the white removal. I like Flage. I like Steel Cutter. I like Dress Down. Spell Pierce. Medium. Supreme Verdict could have a home. If they go wide with constructs, this is another way to clear them out. Or if they get like a big turn with Nadu plus Shuko, they could wipe out all of it, even if they fill their hand. Do I want Containment Priest? I guess. I'm looking at my deck. I could cut the other Pierce, or I could just trust my removal to stop the Illusionist from happening. Okay, I'm going to go like this. There's no room for the Consigned to Memories, and I could probably get the Priest in, but I'm not a huge believer in it, so I'm just not going to do that. Okay, the mono white removal hand, actually pretty good against their deck. Meticulous Archive, dumped Hedge Maze, Cannibalism. Okay, this is my only route to basic Island. So I'll use Arid Mesa to get Meticulous Archive, or basic Plains if they play something worth plowing. Saga. All right, Meticulous Archive it is. Looking for Dress Downs. I don't think I want a 5th removal spell in my hand. I would like my hand to do something else. Lorien Revealed. Guess I'll play Flooded Strand and pass. Only one of the removal spells in my hand is an instant, which is a little concerning. I will draw for my turn. Spell Pierce. That one's not very good, but it's fine. It might find a home, might find a use. I'm going to fetch basic Island with this Flooded Strand before my opponent searches with Saga, just in case they have Pithing Needle. Okay, there's that. Oh, wow. Casting Brainstorm instead of doing anything else here. Making another construct. That's a little scary. I'm going to fetch basic Island and then Brainstorm resolves. They have the 2 mana here. So I wonder if they drew something for turn that changed whether they wanted to make constructs or if this first construct was just kind of free because the mana was sitting there anyway, but it was never the real plan. Shuko. Cavern of Souls. Uh-oh. Well, they're going to resolve Nadu and get 2 triggers off it. Yeah, so they get 2 triggers if I plow the construct in response, and then they still have Nadu, or they get 2 triggers if they have Nadu. Plow that. And I can Spell Pierce interaction for it. Nadu flipped a Brainstorm. Savannah. And they can attack me for 3. Here I can Prismatic End the Shuko and then Flage the construct. Prismatic End the Shuko and Flage the construct. If they fully combo off from hand in a way that Spell Pierce would have been disruptive, there was other options here, but I think using Flage turns the corner the fastest if they don't immediately redeploy. And if they do immediately redeploy, there's a bunch of sequences where Spell Pierce isn't even useful. It's a theory. Yeah, I mean, Spell Pierce would have been useful against that one. Except it wasn't because they have 5 mana. Never mind. It's fine. I will just poke that Teferi with Flage, or I could Prismatic End it. I think I want Flage in play. Okay, here it is on the stack. 3 damage to Teferi means I can't get bounced here. But they do have a turn with the shields up if they have a combo. Brainstorm. Nomad. Uh-oh, looks like Nadu's coming down, so they're going to get to flip 8 cards here, minimum. All right, have fun. Saga, Misty Rainforest, that came from their hand, so now if they play another creature, that's more flips. If they have Swords of Plowshares, that's really good. Archimedes, 4 more flips. Veil of Summer. Okay, these are all the flips they have right now. Nomad, that's 4 more flips. Another Narcomoeba in hand. Okay, they can flip all these cards now in my upkeep. Drop represents Veil of Summer. Plow, Force. Force is bad news. Tameo, Ponder, Memory's Journey. Okay, so I'm going to get into combat at least. All right, so Prismatic Vista, Cori-Steel Cutter. They forced pitching Memory's Journey. Okay, that's great. That then gives me the room to attack. And if they have 2 forces, it doesn't matter. But if they don't, Prismatic Ending can clear Nadu here. Okay, they take a big beat. And then Prismatic Ending on Nadu. Red, blue, white. I know 8 of the 10 cards in their hand right now, and they don't stop this. Flusterstorm. I didn't know about that one. Fair enough. All right, we're going to see if Flage can solo a game where my opponent is doing everything they want to do. Brainstorming in response to the Saga, using Saga as a shuffle. Okay, they flipped Illusionist. That is the game. I just want to look at their deck. See if there's any sideboard stuff I need to be aware of. Plow, Flage is gone. Supreme Verdict is in my deck. But that is another thing that loses to the Illusionist combo that's still rolled up. Though if they're out of Narcomoebas, maybe not. Supreme Verdict? Okay, that was not Supreme Verdict. Okay, get basic island, fetch, Tundra, cast Lorien Revealed. I have no faith that this is going to resolve. And I'm dead even if it does. Okay. And they're going the beatdown route, which means I'm not even going to see more cards in their deck. Okay. Now I'm on the play. Containment Priest. Worth considering. Spell Pierce does hit to Fairy pretty well. But so does the Pyroblast that I cut the Spell Pierce for. I do believe in Back to Basics against this Urza Saga Cavern of Souls deck. Okay, I'm going back in with the same list after some consideration. Swords of Plowshares stock up. I will keep. Obviously, this hand needs some stuff to come together, but Plow is a good early piece of interaction. Stock up is my engine. I will have no trouble casting the cards that I find. Volcanic Island into the graveyard. That's important to keep track of because there are only 3 red sources in the deck. And one of them's gone now. All right, well, there's the other one. Cool. That worked out perfectly. Just how we drew it up. So we've seen Flusterstorm and Veil of Summer out of the opponent. And Spell Pierce. Oh, there's one now. Goodbye, Spell Pierce. Ponder. They shuffled the library. Like Karumba. I am just going to pass here. I don't want to tap out for stock up because they can win on 3 mana, and having seen Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce, getting that clipped here would be so bad. Have you ever looked at 4 cards in a row and they're all lands? Ponder. Saga. I am going to fetch here, start getting bad cards out of my deck. Brainstorm. That card's good. The first good card I've drawn, and it's a very good one. Put back these shitty lands. Okay, now I have Force Blue card and a Plow and the ability to manipulate my deck further. Cavern of Souls. That's going to name Wizard. And I'm going to fetch another island here. I can get Plains and Mountain with the fetches I still have access to. Another Plow. All right, I think it's stock up time. I can Force of Will and double Plow. Back to Basics, actually great. So they'll probably use those Urza Saga options, and then if Cavern ever gets tapped, that's great for me. A third Plow versus a second Force. I think I want the second Force, because that lets me pitch the first Force to the second one, and I can keep all my spells. Okay, we're going to see a Construct here. They have not been super interested in making constructs so far in this game overall. Fetch Plains just in case. Shuko is here. We can have a battle over Nadu that hopefully results in them tapped out when I back to basics their ass next turn. Okay, first Nadu, trigger, and plow this thing. They flipped a Flooded Strand into play. Hate that for me. Force of Will, pitching Memory's Journey. Plow Nadu again. And they targeted Nadu Ishuko first, which means they don't get a trigger here. Cool, Nadu's gone. Plow's countered. You got me. Brainstorm revealed. Ponder. Yeah, keep tapping lands. What could go wrong? 2 Flooded Strands in play. If they have an island and a plains, that wouldn't surprise me. But this is still 3 Stone Rains that also turns on the forces in my hand. Other plains. I'm going to fetch my mountain here. I guess I didn't need to do that. I drew a basic land straight up. Okay, back to basics is on the stack. I hope it's good. Okay, that's in. I am going to have to deal with this 3-2 at some point, but that point is not right now. Yeah, that was definitely a streamer brain moment. I was just already committed to playing Arid Mason and getting Mountain, and then drawing Plains should have changed that because I have Brainstorm in my hand. Okay, they have 3 mana. How much of it can afford to be basic in this deck? Plains, Nomad resolves. Removal's what I'm looking for anyway. Okay, Brainstorm, please don't betray me. Not bad. Okay, put back 2 lands. The dress down is good. I've already cast 1 spell this turn. I have to fetch, and I probably dress down in the end step. That covers the most bases. They fetch in response. Basic island. I don't think they're going to have more basic lands than this. And their current board state does mean that Cephalid Illusionist can beat me off the top. Not with dress down in play, but they have the necessary mana to do what they want to do here. A Steel Cutter. Just drawing any spell here is great. Any spell I can cast stabilizes the board. Stock Up qualifies as a spell big time. All right, Steel Cutter. Stock Up. I get the Monk, even if they counter this. Swords to Plowshares, Prismatic Ending. I believe these are my tools at this point. Play out the Tundra because we have seen soft permission, even if it locks out my lands forever, at least. My spell resolving is important. That's fine. They spent a card on not a card, and it gained me the 2 life that Nomads is about to hit out from under me again. Nadu on the stack. I guess I have to force here. If they have a green source left, and we've seen Savannah, right? So Veil of Summer is pretty live. Okay, so I'll plow the Nomad now, which also makes a Monk. I totally would have remembered that in real life too. Okay, so they can still start flipping with Nadu, but they have tapped a bunch of lands at this point. I do have an answer to Nadu in my hand. Right, Shuko is one of their 4 cards in hand. Flusterstorm is another land. They might be out of fetchables. Teferi Time Raveler, let's go! Alright. Best possible scenario. Teferi resolves, which makes sure that Prismatic Ending resolves. Red, blue, white. I can no longer escape Flage this game, because I milled over that volcanic island earlier, and I've now tapped Plateau. I could bounce my back to basics, I guess, but I'm probably not going to do that, given that they have another Nadu in their hand, and them not casting it is my way to play the game. We're about to find out. Okay, that's not a green source. Oh, what's this? Mana in the pool? What do you think you're doing with that? Remember that Teferi I cast? Back it up and settle down. Okay, I think I want to plus Teferi and then attack with my buddies. Bouncing Cori-Steel Cutter is a way to get an extra spell on subsequent turns. Okay, Nadu in hand. Is there a green source left in the deck? That's 4 white sources. Narcomoeba. The beats will continue. Dress Down. That does qualify as a spell. I could use Dress Down to kill Narcomoeba. I could also just bounce Narcomoeba and attack for 3. Yeah, I think I want to bounce Narcomoeba and just push my advantage here and there. Ooh, okay. Stock Up. This is a bunch of prowess and a bunch of looks at things that may do more. Force of Will. I could have tapped... If I left up red, I could have hit the second Steel Cutter. Yeah, I have the white land in case. Yeah, I think that was a mistake. I'm out of red sources to fetch, but I'll take Steel Cutter and Force of Will. I don't think I can lose the game if I have Force plus blue card available. when they are probably out of green sources. Attack for 5. Next turn, I can make it a lot more. I think I have a lethal attack next turn. Where's a Saga? Okay. That could be a game plan. I'm just going to be patient, though. Narcomoeba. Some spell here makes the game very easy. My creatures lose Trample and Haste. Alright, well, we're locked on red, but I'm okay with that. I am going to simply attack with my monks. If they block, I will let it happen. If they don't block, I would Pyroblast Narcomoeba and get the prowess damage. Okay, opponent is at 5. Brainstorm, you can have it. What a sweet match this has been. It's so satisfying when both players bring back and forth interaction and things to do. Okay, opponent did not play anything after the Brainstorm. Lorien revealed. I can cast that as an instant. It is possible, perhaps even likely, that I had a lethal attack here, but I don't think I can lose if I don't play a card. Alright, you've got a construct. The Saga gets to trigger. Ghost Vacuum. Cool. Why is that there? Okay, dress down before this thing kills Teferi. And my opponent should be deceased here. Brainstorm, you got it. And I've cast a spell this turn, so if I just Brainstorm or Pyroblast or whatever I want to do here, the monk will replace itself, even if they do find the removal spell to stay alive. Second Cavern, wow, I was honestly not ready for that. So we might actually keep gaming. Oh, but they... Why? What? Did they shuffle away the Nadu? Oh, dress down's in play, right? Nadu doesn't matter. Yeah, they're just dead. Cool. All right. That was close to interesting. All right, I'm going to Brainstorm just to get the extra monk and make sure my opponent is dead. We did it! All right, sick back and forth match. Lots of decisions to make, lots of stuff to manage. On to the next round. The 9th installment of the NYSE Vintage Open Series is coming. This 15 proxy vintage tournament with Power 9 prizes takes place on Saturday, June 14th, 2025 in Long Island, New York, and has a $500 entry fee. That's a hefty entry, but the guaranteed prizes for top 8 are unlimited Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxen. The NYSE Open 8 went well for me last year. Someone better come stop me from getting another Lotus. Will it be you? I'll be at the NYSE Open 9 on June 14th, and I hope to see you there. Register on melee.gg or use the link in the video description. I'm on the play in round 3. I will keep my hand. You just can't be scared of hands like this when you play Magic the Gathering. It's easy to ask, well, what if they're combo? And I would respond with, what if they're not? Even if there is a wretched combo deck at the top of the format right now, it's still 7 to 10% of the meta on any given day, which means 90 to 93% of the meta are not that deck. And it looks like we're against Cradle Control. Teferi Time Raveler is a gamer I enjoy. Teferi's not that good against Cradle Control because they have all these Hierarchs just laying around that can easily deal 1 damage if you bounce something. But Tamiyo can block, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of Hierarchs. If there's a Cradle in hand, we're not done yet. Sick. Okay. They have 7 mana on turn 2. Pretty good. Looks like they didn't have anything to do with 3 mana, though. That's exciting. Okay, I'm going to fetch Tundra and crack a Clue. I'm going for non-basics because there's only 1 card in my deck that cares about that. And it's not this one. Okay, I could just plow one of these Hierarchs randomly, or I could hold on to my plow. Yeah, I'm just going to attack and hold up plow plus Pierce. Pierce pretty mid versus Gaia's Cradle. But I could find a home. Like, Source of Plowshares is worth 2 mana here, because every one of the creatures is a mana dork, and they all count for Cradle. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass into this. If they had 2 dorks instead of 3, I think I would go for it. Scythecat Cub. Yeah, this is the sort of thing I'd rather save my plow for. Tapping Cradle first is interesting. That makes me think they have a second one in their hand. Because they could have played this and used it for mana. Okay. The Cub, the White, and now an attack for 3 from one of these Hierarchs, probably. Okay, here it comes. Well, my plan here is fetch basic planes, kill White of the Reliquary, draw a card with Clue. Basic planes, smoke the White, draw a card with Clue, Force of Negation, pretty mediocre. Prismatic Ending, excellent. So now I think my plan is Prismatic End one of the Hierarchs and bounce the Cub. And then I don't attack with Tamiyo, because her 3 toughness is enough to stop a 2 exalted attack. Black is more important to their deck than white or blue are, so I'm going to go after an Ignoble Hierarch. Okay, passing the turn. I got some shields up. They have Scythecap Cub in their hand. If they play a Scythecap Cub, then a land, then the Hierarch can attack through my Teferi, but that also means putting a +1 counter on Hierarch instead of anything else. There's a Supreme Verdict in my deck somewhere. Teferi plus Supreme Verdict is the lock. If I can instant speed that thing, we're in business. Okay, here's Cub. And the cool thing is I just don't have to block. If they do put a +1 counter on a Hierarch and clear Teferi, it's not a big deal. Okay, they're just going to get them both. I don't even have the option to block now. That's fine. They're down to 1 card in hand. I could counter a Natural Order or a Zenith. And Teferi is taking the beat. Okay. I'm in the market for Supreme Verdict or other white removal spells. And I'm going to play basic Mountain and then cast Stock Up, leaving up 2 white sources. Flage is exciting. That can kill stuff in the future, perhaps. Flage plus Caracas is a combo. I could Helix something every turn. I really don't want to force a negation. This honestly went pretty poorly. I could also dress down Flage into play and just have the 6/6 parked. Yeah, force negation is actively bad. I could attack with Tamiyo and then end step dress down, which locks down a lot of stuff I would have to worry about on their turn. Okay, I will take the force negation even though I'm not happy about it. And I will attack with Tamiyo, and I'm going to end step dress down, just a tempo dress down. They could attack me for 4 next turn with dress down in play. They also lose a bunch of mana off of their Hierarchs. Another Tamiyo. Now that Reclaimer's untapped, everything gets harder. Collector Oof, randomly turning off my clue. Sweet. Okay, everything's attacking. Attacking with Reclaimer is awesome for me, because that means they can't activate it on my turn after the dress down goes away. I wonder if that was a mistake or if they have a trick in their hand to fix that. Because having Reclaimer up is kind of the whole point of this deck. Okay, Volcanic Island and Flage. Target Elvish Reclaimer. Cool, that's just dead. I'll take it. And I'm going to attack and make a clue, even though it doesn't work right now, because I'm going to flip Tamiyo here anyway. Orcish Bowmaster could be cast here. That is something I have mild concerns about. All right, I'm going to go for it. Cool, got away with it. Stock Up's good. These Force Negations are still bad. Spell Pierce is probably worse, though. Spell Pierce and Tamiyo number 3 can go back. Plus this Tamiyo. Play this Tamiyo. All right. Something resembling stability has been achieved here. Flage is in the graveyard, ready to escape. Hierarch is not a big deal. Cradle from hand. Okay, so that raid earlier that they might have a second Cradle in hand may or may not be true. A lot of stuff's happened since then. But it is interesting that they didn't do anything for a while and then eventually played a Cradle. I think they should attack with every creature that has power here, or at least these 2. Or I guess this is bigger because they have 3. Okay, I am going to block because I don't need another Tamiyo. This does have trample, so Tamiyo will take some damage, but having her around is still pretty good. And I could cycle Lorien Revealed to get rid of the bad cards on top of my deck, or I could cast it on my turn, and I think it's better to get rid of the bad cards. I'll grab Tundra. And Flage is here, ready to party. Plus Tamiyo, Flage killing Scythecat Cub. Red, red, white, white. Cook that little cat. They don't have the ability to make land drops at instant speed because the Reclaimer is dead. And I think I just want to hold this dress down rather than play Stock Up. Their deck is all creatures, and I have the biggest creature right now. As long as I don't get like Natural Ordered out of the earth or something here, should be okay. A lot of mana is being tapped. Do they have the hard cast Atraxa? And that's what dress down is for. It would be funny if they cast Atraxa here, because I earlier said their deck cares about black more than it cares about blue or white. But they need blue and white to cast Atraxa, and they have Talent Gates plus Hierarch. While Ignoble doesn't give them anything their lands doesn't give them. Yeah, that does appear to be what's happening. Dress down MVP. There's a Swords to Plowshares in my graveyard I can pick up with Tamiyo to clear this thing, and then we're off. All right, 7/7 lifelink in play temporarily. I can activate my clues right now. This Collector Oof is sleeping, but I don't have any mana. Okay, Tamiyo, get back, Swords to Plowshares. Delete Atraxa. Flage, kill Collector Oof. Okay, their Atraxa is in exile now. Not even available down the road if they find a way into it. Stock up, find me a white card. Swords to Plowshares, awesome. Do I want Caracas or Tamiyo? I guess I'll take Caracas. In machine gunning, Flage seems reasonable. Okay, passing the turn. Swords to Plowshares can protect Tamiyo this turn because they have to choose one creature to attack with. Flage was something I was going to keep an eye on throughout this league, and holy smokes, right now it looks good. Scythecat Cub, that's fine. It will die when I go into combat next turn. They should attack with this Ignoble Hierarch, the one that doesn't have a +1 counter on it. Because any attack here kills Tamiyo, and if I have a removal spell, I'm going to remove the attacker. So attacking with their best creature here just means I get to use Plow on their best creature, which otherwise was not going to happen for me. And finally, clues. It's time. I love eating clues. I'm a clue eater. Plus Tamiyo. Delete Scythecat Cub. Man, have you ever gotten to just Lightning Helix every time you turn a creature sideways? That feels really powerful. Stock up. Another Flage and Prismatic Ending. I will take the 2 removal spells. I don't think I have to do anything here. Yeah, I'm just going to pass. I'm not worried about the Hierarchs. They are not netting damage versus Tamiyo. All right, now they're just washing out versus Tamiyo. I'm actually not even going to remove the one that attacks. Though it does briefly have -1 power, I feel like if I plow it now, my opponent should lose a life. But that's not actually how anything works. I think it is fine to plow this, and also fine to let it be alive. There's just no universe where we're losing this game. I guess I just have to be careful about decking myself. But they're at 18, and Flage hits really hard. Force of Will on top sounds good. Clue token, devoured. Plus Tamiyo, kill Ignoble Hierarchy. Yeah, okay, they see what's going on. Sweet, man, Flage, coast to coast. But that whole game was made possible by that turn where they attacked with Elvish Reclaimer. It didn't have abilities when it attacked, but it would have had abilities in the end step and then on my turn. And I think if they're able to just, like, trigger their Cubs a little more or tutor Talon Gates to protect from my next removal spell, they could have gotten some stuff going on there. Grafdigger's Cage and Containment Priest are coming in. Main deck's mostly set up for this already, though. I think those Force of Negations that rotted in my hand for the entire game can go out. Back to basics. They have a lot of mana dorks, but I also have a lot of removal. And then their deck after that has a lot of non-basic lands that are important to it. Yeah, I'll just bring in these 2 haters. Important to note that Grafdigger's Cage turns off Flage, the backside of Flage. So just a small non-bow, but probably worth it going in. A Tamiyo, Quick Flip, Containment Priest, and the ability to flood the board with donkeys. I like my hand. It's missing Swords to Plowshares or Prismatic Ending. That's the one card I really wish my hand had that it doesn't. My opponent probably has Thoughtseizes in their deck, but they won't cast them with that Forest. Alright, I will get basic Island here and save the Flooded Strand. I don't think a dual land changes my ability to do anything that I might want to do next turn. Pithing Needle. Okay. Are they going to name the backside of Tamiyo? Are they going to just blind spike Flooded Strand? What do you do with this? Teferi? Tamiyo Season Scholar. Okay, so this is just a clue machine with a butt. Hierarch number 2. Bajuka Bog. Bright and early. Okay, I like getting bogged now before Flage is a problem. Plains and attack. Hopefully we can snag a Natural Order or Green Sun Zenith on their turn with this Priest. I'm not going to get the combat ambush because these are going to be 2/3s. Scythecat Cub. That's in. Another Cub. All right, they're cubbing. Flipping Tamiyo is not optional, by the way. If I brainstorm, I lose it. Okay, they're big Cub gaming. This thing can be so big right now because it'll double, then double. All right, yep, they are fully committed to that Scythecat Cub. That is a 10-10. Probably lethal next turn. I think it's more important for me to draw a card and try to find a solution to this thing than it is to play Containment Priest. Okay, Flage, a little late. That's a 10-10. All right, I'm going to attack, get one more clue for the road, and then I have to play Brainstorm here. All right, Brainstorm. Find me a white spell. Oh, no! There are so many point-and-click removal spells in my deck, and here I am without a single one. I put back Mountain, and I need Tamiyo. Mountain and Prismatic Vista. All right, this Tamiyo flips, whether I like it or not. And I'll fetch Plateau. No, it can't fetch Plateau. It has to be Volk. All right, how do I survive this game is the question. All right, I don't think Flage is part of the game. I have to draw Supreme Verdict next turn, which means I have to not fetch Plateau. Like, I want to block with this Tamiyo and then fetch, and then draw Supreme Verdict. If they have a fetch land, it doesn't matter, and I'm dead. Hierarch. White of the Reliquary. Well, I'm all in on finding removal spells anyway, so I don't think I can afford to force that. And I will block, because this Tamiyo is going to flip and get Legend Ruled next turn anyway. Let's absorb some damage here. I take 10. Okay, big draws. Stock up. Brainstorm is probably better. I could hit multiple plows that way. All right, Brainstorm it is. Plow and Teferi. If Teferi bounces Scythecat Cub, White of the Reliquary gets the land tapped. Okay, I'm going to put back the 2 Flages because I don't have access to red mana, and I'm not going to. All right, I think I should plow the big Scythecat Cub and then leave up Containment Priest. Them untapping with this white is a pretty big problem. I would have forced it if Brainstorm wasn't necessary for my game plan. So this is an attack for 6, 7, attack for 7. And the top 2 cards in my deck are both Flage. Yeah, I think I'm dead. Okay, they're activating white, getting Wooded Foothills. Yeah, I go to 1. Yeah, okay. I don't have enough. Even if I stock up into Swords to Plowshares, the White of the Reliquary represents protection for the 1 attacking creature, or they could just attack with 2 creatures next turn. Okay. Well, a little short there. That I needed that Swords to Plowshares a turn before I got it. Same deck, let's go. Okay, handful of white cards, keep. My Miser's awesome Supreme Verdict available if the game goes to turn 4 again. All right, Tamiyo, do the thing. Thoughtseize would be disappointing because losing Supreme Verdict is a big deal, but I do have Tamiyo going. That could grow it back someday. Forest, Hierarch. Tundra. Keep hitting those lands up the way to Supreme Verdict is nice. I think I am going to Prismatic Ending this Hierarch. If I can just slow them down a little bit. My hand is really good if I'm allowed to get into the mid game. And I do have a plow if they follow up with white. Or something scarier than a Hierarch. But keeping these creatures under control, it cuts them off the mana directly, and Cradle is a card they could drop from their hand at any point. So that's somewhere between 1 and 2 mana, or 1 or 2 mana. It's not between 1 and 2. This isn't unhinged. Right, there's that Bajuka Bog bright and early again, taking some cards I don't care about. Sylvan Safekeeper. That one is extremely powerful versus the type of thing my deck wants to do. But it can also be manipulated. Like, are they going to sack one of their 2 lands here to keep that? And if they do, that just makes my Supreme Verdict better. I'm going to draw a card with a clue and then make decisions. Brainstorm. Oh, I'll just cast that. B-Storm. Found the lands that I need. I'm going to put back Caracas and Supreme Verdict. Hide that on top in case they draw a Thoughtseize. Nice. All right. I like my spot a lot right now. I even have this back to basics that I can cast without tapping any non-basic lands. White of the Reliquary. Guy's Cradle. Please just cast 2 more creatures. Put a Scythecat Cub into play. Or 2 Hierarchs. Dump them out. What could go wrong? You have Sylvan Safekeeper. What are you worried about? Hell yeah. They're going to try to own the libs, but it will be them getting owned. Kaplow! Scoop them up. Put them away. All right, those are gone. I'm going to plus Tamiyo. I can grab that Supreme Verdict again if I need it in the future. But also, if they don't apply pressure and just let me get to 8 loyalty, I'll do that. Another white. I have a plow. Not going to force it. And the pickup and play Supreme Verdict is face up here. Like, I can just do that anytime. So even if they have a creature in their hand, they can't run it out here. Swords to Plowshares. Caracas. Plus Tameo, ready to draw half my deck next turn. And I can force an Orcish Bowmaster. If I need to. No fetch in the end step. I wonder if they're holding a Scythecat Cub, and they're just trying to bank some power and toughness on it. Reclaimer. They tapped a mana, then changed their mind, and fetched instead. Dryad Arbor. If this is Grist, I will have to force it. Zenith for 2. What can they get here? Is there anything that stops me from Supreme Verdicting them here? There's not like a Pithing Needle creature you can get. Okay, I'm going to let this resolve. If there's some tech piece here that I forgot about, then good job, you got me. But pick up and cast Supreme Verdict is looking like a 3-for-1. Yeah, just White of the Reliquary, sure. They either don't see that I can pick up Supreme Verdict, or they're betting that making me do that rather than drawing half my deck with Tameo is a better use of their resources. And cool story is I actually think casting Supreme Verdict is still better. Splat. Now, drawing half my deck probably would have found 3 removal spells, or I could just answer with my face-up shit and still have Force of Will in my hand. Do they have the 4th White of the Reliquary? Okay, Zenith resolves. This is going to get a Reclaimer. I can Swords to Plowshares that. Stock up. All right, I'll stock up first. A Flage and a Plateau. I do want those cards. Okay, Flage and Plateau are in. Sending a bunch of white removal to the bottom. Not my most favorite thing to do. But there is a Swords to Plowshares right here, waiting for me. Plow that with Caracas. And I'm going to save Flage to be a removal spell. Drawing half my deck probably would have won the game similarly, but I like practicing extreme patience when it's available to me, because I'm also winning this game. And now I'm going to start cutting up some steel, or cutting with steel. The hyphen here, it is not a steel cutter that belongs to the Cori. It is a cutter made of Cori-Steel, for anyone who is worried about that. All right, now we're monking out. Swords to Plowshares and Containment Priest looking good. They're pretty far away from hardcasting Atraxa, which is the reason I would take Dress Down over Priest, and I have Force of Will in case they do. I am, as they say, rolled up. If my opponent fetches the end step, I'm going to Containment Priest in response to make sure they can't get any Dryad Arbor traction. Oh, now they have 2, so they can dance around it. Plus Tameo. Back to basics, not a good play here. Yeah, I'm just going to continue practicing patience. I could evoke Flage and play Priest, trigger, get an extra monk. I guess Flage kills them so fast, and I can cast the backside of it next turn. Maybe it was right to do it there. Patience a little too extreme, but what else is new? That's me. That's how I play Magic. I would rather die because I was too careful than because I was not careful enough. Okay, I'm not going to Priest in response here, because if they are grabbing Dryad Arbor, it's probably because they want to cast Natural Order. Oh, Snuff Out. Wow, that's a mess. Okay, yeah, Snuff Out's fine. They had 4 mana. They could have saved 4 life there. All right, I'm going to play Priest. Let's just get that in. And look at this. Tameo's back up to 8. You were worried. You said, why would you play like that? That's stupid. And I said, it's fine. We're going to win the game anyway. And we get more time to play Magic, which is just all upside. Prismatic Ending and Swords to Plowshares in my hand now. Plus Tameo. I actually would like to trigger the Cutter. White, red, bang. Containment Priest says non-token creature, so we're safe. And casting Flage from the graveyard is still casting. We're safe from that too. Just good deck building. And these Force of Wills that were in my opening hand, I'm going to win the game with them still in my hand. Didn't even need it. They're actually just dead because I can equip Steel Cutter to Flage next turn. Or no, I'm a red mana short. No! Okay, well, when I draw half my deck, maybe the red source will be in it. And I am going to draw half my deck here. Oh, they don't want to let me do it. Okay. A clean dismantling the blue-white removal spell deck versus the creature deck. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw for round 4. I'm going to keep. I can interact with a spell, I can interact with a creature, and I can play Tamiyo. That's all the things there are. Another Goyf. Alright, so it's Dimir Tempo is what we're doing. I'm going to end this prismatically. If they daze this, I got more where that came from. And this lets me keep my Swords to Plowshares for things like Orcish Bowmaster, Barrow Goyf, Urktide Regent. Force of Will. Wow, that's nasty. Force pitching force. Yeah, sure. A Wasteland would be a little frustrating here because Prismatic Vista is a pretty bad way to play a 3-color deck. But yeah, if they spent 2 cards to protect a 1-2, you got it. All right, I'm just going to play Tamiyo, put her in front of this. This is a 0-3 versus a 1-2. And this lets me leave up Swords to Plowshares in case they have a Bowmaster, which I am more worried about than Nether Goyf. Fatal Push. Spell Pierce. Daze, okay. Sure. They're heavy about protecting this Nether Goyf. Every card they've played this game is an instant. All 3 of them. Still just a 1-2. Wasteland. That's annoying, but I found the land last turn, so it's not as bad as it was a moment ago. Okay. Fetch. Basic Plains. S-Words to Plowshares. Their hand is Underground Sea and 1 unknown. And my next land starts casting Stock-Ups, and then we're off. Thoughtseize. I could force this. Like, Stock-Up is worth 2 cards if they take it, and Thoughtseize gets 2 cards if I force it. Yeah, I will force a negation. Force of Will and Force of Negation are not that important in this matchup anyway. And protecting something high value like Stock-Up is a great place to be. Miss the land. It's alright, we're in garbage time now. And garbage time favors me because their deck is trying to play from ahead and my deck is trying to reach garbage time, basically. Ooh, okay. I gotta be careful with that. Make sure it doesn't get Bowmastered. Okay, you're brainstorming. That's fine. They found the fetch land. Thoughtseize again. Okay. Brainstorm. Hopefully this finds a land and I can put Stock-Up on top. Easy game. Brainstorm, Stock-Up. You can have that Force of Will. And then I'm going to slam Stock-Up on my turn. If their last card in hand is Daze or Spell Pierce, whatever. Oh, look at this. Look at these cards. Flage is pretty exciting. I think I want Flage and Plow. Opponent can't really take Flage with Thoughtseize. That's not how that works. Well, it does work. It's just not very good. Cool. I have access to my basic mountain. And we're getting to work here. Pew pew. Elder Giant. That's what I got for you. I could have bounced it with Karakas, but I don't think that's important. I think putting it into play is where I want to be. They might have a random Nile Spellbomb or something. I don't think this list would have Cling to Dust in it. Sewer. Kept the card. Scary. Something like Kaito is a little concerning if they just, like, land play Kaito. They don't have a creature to ninja it in, but just deploying it here is pretty strong. Because I can't bounce it when it's a creature. And then Karakas can't bounce Planeswalkers. I'd have to figure that out another way. Stock-Up. All right, there are a lot of cards in my graveyard. I'm just going to start casting Flage until it works. Volcanic Island versus Plateau. I'm actually kind of hurting on blue, so I will get the Volk. White, red, white, red. Flage is on the stack. If they want to counter or kill it, I will just cast it again next turn. And it's not easy to kill for blue-black. They need to revolt a Fatal Push or use their precious. Shoot the Sheriff. Petty Theft. Alright, cool. That's just more helixes. Game on. They got to 4 mana. If they do just spend 4 on Kaito here, that suddenly becomes a game. I could whittle Kaito down off Flage triggers over multiple turns. I take some damage in between, but I think it's fine. It's a really tough thing for them to interact with. Ponder. I'm not getting Kaito. Good news, everyone. They're also at 11 to my 20. Just some random Flage pings here and there. could end the game pretty quick. Do not shuffle Ponder. Barrowglyph. Okay, I'm ready. I've had the Swords of Plowshares for a few minutes now. Ooh, that's so good. That's so good! Cutter. There's only one card in their hand. I don't think there's anything that could stop this plow from happening. All right, Barrowglyph is out of here. Bonus at 13. Now I'm chipping damage with Cutter, and I'm chipping damage with Flage. Ponder. Blue-black also pretty bad at answering artifacts. If they jam a Murktide here, that is something I have to figure out what I'm going to do about. Ooh, the Re-Barrowglyphing. All right, stock up, find me an answer to this thing. Or I could just draw it. That works too. Yeah, I'm not going to mess around with this. This thing is too serious of a threat. I'm not going to try to stock up, hit the land to double spell, and hope they don't have daze. I'm just going to remove the thing. Safe and sound. They're 10 life. Pluto Delta. Playing out land number 5. They might have Hardcast Force in their hand right now. I'm going to stock up, and then I can Flage as my second spell. This is going to be a lot of damage this turn. This might actually be lethal. I think this is just lethal. Okay, another stock up in the bank, and a Tamiyo for good measure. Sure, I'll take Tamiyo. And I think this is... Oh no, this is not lethal. In my head, Flage was dealt 5. I don't know why. This is not just lethal. Or no, I think what I did was I thought Flage would trigger Prowess, but that also doesn't get me there. All right, I'm just talking out of my ass, and I don't know what's going on at all. Okay, Bowmaster's here. Not a great answer to this. They still take damage, and they trade not a card for, I guess also technically not a card. Not a card for not a card. Bonus at 4. Okay, fetching to 3 here is buck wild. All right, Brazen Borrower's in. You got that extra damage, but literally need to draw Force of Will or Graveyard Hate. No other card can save you. Okay, they tapped a blue and then realized Flage was in my graveyard, probably. Cool. All right, well, that felt really nice. Again, this is a deck that I'm already mostly pre-boarded for. Cut some Force of Negations, get some Pyroblasts in. That helps clear up Kaito and that sort of thing. One less Force of Will makes sense to me as well. I could go really low on Force of Wills and bring in some Flusterstorms. Those interact with Thoughtseize better, and they let me do stuff like get in little ticky-tack fights over Ponders and Brainstorms. I don't like spending 2 cards on anything. I think Back to Basics is bad too. Like, I would rather, like, even if Back to Basics resolves and puts them down to 2 mana, I would rather have access to all 6 or 7 of mine than the 3 or 4 basics I would have at time. I actually think Back to Basics really sucks against Delver style decks, even if they are high on non-basic lands. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Flusterstorms are in, down to 2 Force of Wills. I am going to keep my hand. I don't love having one of the 2 Force of Wills I left in here, but I do love having access to 3 mana and a white removal spell. Ponder. Unfortunate they're not on the spend 4 cards to protect a 1-2 plan again. I liked it when they were on that plan more. I'll lead on Flooded Strand. It just gives me the most options in case I want to grab them Meticulous Archive. I'll probably just play on basics here. Why get Wastelanded if you don't have to? Tamiyo. Okay, I think I'm going to fetch Plains and Cycle Luring Revealed for Island here. I'm going to play around Daze. Basic lands all around. I could make sure Tamiyo is dead by playing Prismatic Vista. I'm going to do that. All right, Prismatic Ending, Prismatic Vista, Prismatic Theme Deck. Cool. She's just dead. No additional nonsense. I like that. And now I'm set up to play Cori-Steel Cutter plus Swords to Plowshares or Brainstorm next turn. Get the juice moving. Get the juice juicing. They're on 3 mana, passing. Could also just stock up. I'm going to save the stock up. I'm going to go Cutter plus Brainstorm, and I'll Force of Will a Bowmaster if I have to. This is more aggressive than I like, but I'm not going to let some Dimir tempo opponent bully me around on the draw-go game. I was born to this world, you just adopted it. Okay, force that. Cool. That worked out pretty well. 2 plows, Flusterstorm stock up. I think I'm going to put the 2 plows on top. Or no, I'm going to put plow stock up on top. That way, if I get Thought Seized, I can immediately stock them next turn anyway. And then cast Plow. They're fetching in response to my attack. Oh man, it's basically my new kink is watching my opponent's hand get smaller as they go 1-for-1 with tokens generated by Cori-Steel Cutter. Wow, that's a good feeling. Okay, so here I'm going to play my land and then play Stock Up. I can use Flusterstorm to protect Stock Up if I need to. Supreme Verdict, Tamiyo, Swords to Plowshares. I like all this shit. I think I would like Tamiyo and Plow. If I'm about to play a creature, Supreme Verdict's not that important. A fetch. I will get Tundra. Do I want Tundra? It has to be basic Island or Tundra here. I'll get Tundra. If they're spending time wastelanding me as I beat them to death with Cori-Steel Cutter and get value with Tamiyo, I'm okay with that. Here comes my Monk. Bowmaster. Here's this thing again. Spending part of a real card to answer something that's not a real card at all. And taking trample damage for the pleasure. Cool. I do have the Wasteland. Mostly fine. Alright, didn't even lie about attacking. Wow, that card's good. Okay, they could have dazed Tamiyo last turn and didn't. Teferi's actually not good versus Orcish Bowmaster. That's just a fact. I'm going to attack with Tamiyo. I'm not going to Plow Bowmaster, because if they cast a spell on their turn, I can use Plow and Flusterstorm to counter that spell and get a Steel Cutter trigger. Okay, I think I have to Plow this out of respect for Kaito. And I hope they do fight over it, because then I can just block with my Monk. Alright, no love. Tap land. Alright, I'll eat my clue. If they have a Bowmaster, it still doesn't kill Tamiyo. Yep, whatever. 0-3. Such a good number. Pyroblast. Now I have a bunch of different ways to trigger Cutter on their turn. Caracas. Alright, I'll play that. Now Tamiyo is a safe harbor. I think I will attack. It's fine. I'm thinking about Kaito, and now that I have Pyroblast, I'm way less worried about him. Okay, they're attacking. I'll Plow the Bowmaster again. And I will not block Orc Army. Looks like Kaito is happening, but that's fine. I was prepared for this possibility. And they had to pick up their token, so they didn't get to recycle the Bowmaster because of the timing. Right, Surveil 2, draw a card. Have fun. Okay, end step, I'm going to draw a card with my clue. I'm going to leave up Caracas in case they have Fatal Push. Keep that Tamiyo safe. Alright. Teferi with Pyroblast protection. And even if they force Teferi, it's not a big deal. If they don't force Teferi, Kaito is just dead. If they do force Teferi, Kaito is also dead. Sick. Destroy target blue permanent. That one. I would like to equip. I'm going to plus Teferi. I feel like bouncing is still something that might be useful to me in the future. Cori-Steel Cutter, just as a small number in a control deck, has been doing a lot of work. I actually have liked this a lot more than as a 4 of in a tempo deck. Thoughtseize. Should I Flusterstorm it? LOL. Okay. My Flusterstorm's gone. I can flip Tamiyo next turn in a variety of ways. Boing. Probably should have done that before you Thoughtseized me, if you wanted Tamiyo gone. Okay. Done. Using every trick here. Ooh, Hydroblast. Clearing the Cutter. Okay, they're down to 1 card in hand. And I have a Tamiyo I can flip immediately. I have a Prowess Monk. They tapped mana and then changed their mind. Okay, Tamiyo, get in. I'm going to draw a card with my clue. I'm going to minus Teferi on nothing. Flooding out like crazy. But it's okay, I got 2 Planeswalkers going now. And Tamiyo can pick up, stock up next turn. And they're tapping out. Nice. That was lovely to behold. On to the final round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set,
Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the play in round 5. Positive record is locked. Bread and butter 4-1 on the line. My hand has functionally 3 lands in it, a force, a bunch of interaction to creatures. Let's go. Tundra go. Once upon a time, interesting. This is something I can force of negation, and it might not get another chance to do that. Alright, I am going to force this pitching a dress down. That's more aggressive than I like being, but having already lost one match this league to an Oops All Spells player who had a line that did not require a non-creature spell, I'm just a little gun-shy. Cavernon Warrior is their follow-up. That's fascinating. Right, I'm going to play Tundra. I'm going to hide my Volk. A Cavern of Souls creature deck. Good chance it plays Wasteland, and my red sources are precious, as we've learned. What warriors are we playing? Like, Voice of Victory is a human bard. Oh, this might be Gruul Stompy of some kind. Is Undermountain Adventurer or Cavern of Souls of... What is that guy? The Caves of Cavernous of Souls Adventurer? Okay. That one is a giant. Dress down, doing the Lord's work yet again. I'd rather not play against the initiative, but you can have a chunky Llanowar Elf. Lotus Petal follow-up. 3 cards left in hand. Teferi is pretty awkward here, actually. I think I'm going to Prismatic End this Lotus Petal. I don't have 4 colors to remove the creature with, but if I can make it hard for them to replay the creature, then bouncing it becomes an option. Okay, 3/4 Vigilance Llanowar Elf attacking me. A second initiative creature messes me up real bad here. Oh, taps for 2? Oh, okay. Spell Pierce, huh? Well, I don't think this is getting much better. They can pay, obviously, but if they're searching for creatures and lands, let's at least make it hard for them to deploy that creature or land this turn. Yeah, I thought this tapped for 1, and then you get 6 later, but it gets 2, so it's better than Llanowar Elf. I take it all back. Oh no, there it is. Oh, this one's a Barbarian. Okay. So it's counterable. Oh my goodness. That is a weird thing to have. It does knock 2 mana off of them, but they already have 3, and they only need 4 to do stuff. And that land would die anyway. I think I have to Teferi and bounce here. And just take my chances. This deck is pretty bad at taking the initiative back. Cori-Steel Cutter is my only way to really cheese it. I bounce this thing. Prismatic Ending, another one of those. Cavern of Souls, so they're gonna get the initiative, but this does cost them a permanent source of 2 mana. And they get to tutor. Oh yeah, they get their choice here too. Like the Caves of Chaos Adventurer draws cards every turn, but the giant is a mana dork after having to lose your mana. So yeah, I think the giant's probably better. Opponent agrees. Yeah, so I pitched a dress down earlier this game on that initial Once Upon a Time. Now that I know what they are, I wouldn't do that. Dress down doesn't line up here anyway. Cori-Steel Cutter? Flage. Interesting. All right, I'm going to plus and I guess just pass the turn. Because Flage can kill Caves of Chaos Adventurer unless they forge onto it right away. But I don't think tucking Flage in my graveyard helps me here. And if I rip a red source, that does let me play Flage onto the board. Oh, they went into the well, taking the conservative route. All right, Teferi's going to die here, and then they get to play Caves of Chaos Adventurer, which goes into the stash immediately, or they can cut across the arena to draw a card next turn. But I think a Spooky Skeleton's pretty good here. Yeah, these Tundras were just in my opening hand, and the only way to get red off of Lorien Revealed is to get a non-basic, so I was just doing an inventory of if I could have set myself up to draw back to basics better. Like if I could have had a turn where I play back to basics, and then a turn where Teferi bounces their thing, and then they can't replay it. That's obviously a better turn than what I actually did. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. They are going into the stash. I can prismatic end that treasure. I don't know how good that actually is, but I feel like I need to do anything that I can do to play this game. Ooh, okay. That's Flage next turn, but they'll be in the Throne of the Dead 3 by then. And they tutored a Plains. What the hell is this Plains doing in their deck? Are they just maxed out on every one of these jerks? Seems like that is probably what's going on. Okay, they get a Spooky Skeleton out of their room. Flage can cook that Spooky Skeleton, and then they go into the Throne of the Dead 3, and I need Flage to solo the game. Like, Throne of the Dead 3 can't hit anything in the Solitude or Flicker Wisp adjacent kind of space. Or they might be in the Throne now. Oh, yeah. Well, that means I fetch my Mountain now before they end up in the Throne and hit something like Anointed Beastkeeper that can stop me from fetching. Okay, here we go. Well, this means that Solitude won't kill my creature. Broadside Bombardiers, very good. Caves of Chaos Adventure. Oh yeah, every one of these creatures is a nightmare. The One Ring in this deck. Another Seasoned Dungeoneer, a bigger one. One that's bigger than Flage. That's cheating, stop it. Alright, Broadsides, One Rings, 3 colors. I did not draw Swords to Plowshares, which is the card that might have let me keep gaming. Alright, I'll kill the Spooky Skeleton. And I am F6'd and soon reaching for my sideboard. Okay, forging onto this Dungeoneer. This is 11, potentially 13 damage that I cannot block. Alright, Solitude. Alright. I was already super dead. You didn't have to rub it in like that. Consign to Memory coming in. Hydroblast coming in. Caves of Chaos Adventure, Broadside Bombardiers. Things worth seeing. We saw the One Ring. And we saw Lotus Petal. I think Null Rod is worth it. Force of Negation and Spell Pierce are coming out. Force of Will, necessary. Stock up, probably necessary. Back to Basics is something I could work the game into my favor on. Teferi's kind of bad. Tameo, I think regrowing spells is pretty good. Dress Down's actually excellent. Yeah, I think it's Teferi that needs to be cut here. And bring in all this stuff. Let's get it. Containment Priest can stop the Throne of the Dead 3, but I'm really trying to not get to the Throne of the Dead 3 more than I am trying to stop it from occurring. If it gets there. Okay, I like my hand. I'm going to keep. The Cutter, as identified, is one of my few ways to cheese back the initiative if I lose it. And I am going to pass here with Consign to Memory up. That could counter a Chalice of the Void or Lotus Petal or One Ring kind of thing. Or it could stop the initiative trigger if they do get a initiative monster down. If they play an initiative monster in a way that it's counterable, I would force it rather than consign the trigger. Okay, like so. It is better for me for this thing to not exist at all than it is for it to exist. Another Cutter. I am going to play out one of these, because now that I have 2, that maybe that was supposed to be Plateau, because my double spell option is Prismatic Ending. If I blew that, I blew it. Magus of the Moon. Alright, well, guess what? It didn't matter. I do play a lot of basics in my deck. I think I'm going to save the second Cutter until I have a spell to go with it. Yeah, again, the Tundra was in my hand and I needed Volk to cast Cutter, so there was not a route to basic lands here. Embarrassing to get cheesed by Magus of the Moon in a deck with 6 basic lands, but, you know, sometimes it happens. Just gotta draw planes and we're fine. Basic planes? Shit. Okay, probably pretty dead here now. Oh no. So this is 6, 11. Yeah, I'm literally dead. GG. Flang, flong. And Flanging Magus turns on my mana, but there's no sequence where I could cast a spell that helps me. What I need is for them to fling Magus and then for some reason decide to stop flinging. Okay, they're playing the mega safe route. Alright. Well, I'm dead anyway. GG. Crushed by Magus of the Moon in my deck full of basic lands. Positive record, though. With trusty old Jeskai control. Pros and cons here. The new cards, or the relatively new cards, were great. Cori-Steel Cutter 2 felt like a great number to have. It's not really a plan, but you gotta win somehow. And when you have this thing going, it's bonkers. Stock up, obviously, the reason we can play a deck that's constructed like this. And Flage, honestly, Rockstar. Obviously, there's matchups like Hoops All Spells that it's not going to do much, but there's also matchups like Cradle Control where it's going to do everything. That was very cool. Slops, no Ponder. Where do we put it? Good question. Is Tamiyo actually just better than Ponder? Like, you don't have to have Ponder in decks, but usually decks like this one lose because they've drawn the wrong half of the deck, and Ponder and Brainstorm are there to help you find the right half. If your answers don't line up to their questions, that's how you fall apart. And having fewer ways to find those answers and fewer ways to trigger Steel Cutter seem kind of whack. Like, I could see 2 Tamiyo, 2 Dress Down, 1 Force Negation, at least get 3 Ponders in here. See what's going on with that. That still gives you options for access to those cards, and you have redundant ways to find them. But sometimes you'd rather have a Ponder than a Dress Down. And sometimes Ponder can just be Dress Down, even if you would rather have Dress Down. I would probably make room for that. You don't have to play 4, but I think you should play some. And there it is. Jeskai Control. A fun kind of experimental build, trying some cool new stuff, and bucking some traditional control deck construction heuristics in the Legacy format. Love seeing people out there trying different stuff, trying different ways to do old stuff. Carl, thank you for giving us the chance to play this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out my Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.